Hi, Jamie.
I was like, maybe my mic's not working.
No, everybody's on mute, I think.
Yeah.
Hi.
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 Does your garden still look like that, Justin?
It really looks terrible. It reaches a point in October and then there's no keeping it together.
I got a new house plant that I'm trying to not kill. We'll see.
What is it?
A cyclamen.
Oh, I know. Yeah, those die easy.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
it'll bloom and die. You won't be alone.
It'll be pretty while it lasts. All right. So 6:30, let's get going. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Amy Bova,
Here.
Lynn Underwood Segley,
Here.
Catherine E. Leonard,
Here.
Angela McCalla,
Here.
Justin S. McLaughlin,
Here.
E. Marie Napolitano,
Here.
Susan D. Taylor.
Here.
There's a quorum present, Madam Chair.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we first have the Citizens Forum. So if there's anyone on this meeting who would like to participate in the Citizens Forum, you may either press the raise hand button in the Zoom application, or if you're on the phone, press *9. And the Citizens Forum is to speak on items that are not on the docket. Okay, I think we can move on.
The consent calendar.
Madam Chair, I move the approval of the consent calendar with the exception of B1 and BE.
Second.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Councilor Taylor has removed items B1, the social distance guided ghost tour, and BE, the communication from RIDEM on the site investigation at Perry Mill Wharf. Are there any other items that the council would like to vote on separately? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote on the consent calendar minus those two items. Councilor Segley?
Aye.
Councilor Leonard?
Aye.
Councilor McCalla?
Aye.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Hi.
Councilor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councilor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The ayes have it.
Application for a special event. Patrick O'Connor, social distance guided ghost tour at Myantonomy Park.
Madam Chair, I move the approval of this application for a special event.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to approve. Is there discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilor Taylor?
I removed this because it looks like a really fantastic opportunity on Halloween evening itself for kids to join in a program that looks like it has been very well thought out for safety and sanitation. And Patrick O'Connor, I did check in with him today. This is free. This is open to the public. And my understanding is it's first come, first served. And I suggested to him that he be available on this Zoom call to explain a little bit more about the meeting. And I just want to introduce one thing. My understanding is that he would like to add an additional hour so that the overall event would begin at 5 o'clock. And the hour between 5 and 6 would be for the littler kids between the ages of 4 and 8. The experience as you walk around the tower in Myantonomy Park would have fewer horrific experiences. And then for the tours from 6 to 8, they would ramp up the impact a little bit for the older kids. The idea is that they'll take small groups on a guided walk with a tour guide at the beginning and a tour guide at the end. They will maintain the social distancing, and each walk around the tower is going to last about 8 minutes. So they can fit quite a few of these small groups into the 3-hour period.
Is that in the form of a motion, Councilor Taylor?
I thought I moved to approve it.
To amend, I meant.
Oh, to amend to begin it at 5 o'clock. Yes, I do. I would like to
Second.
move that we begin the program at 5.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to amend. Is there any discussion on the proposed amendment? Would Mr. O'Connor like to be heard on either the proposed amendment or the overall application?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. What was the question again? Sorry.
There was a motion to amend the application so that it would take place from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., adding an extra hour. And I just wanted to see if you had any comments either on that proposed amendment or on your overall application.
I think that's actually a fantastic idea. Actually, I had thought of doing it, and I had thought of it too late. So Susan and I spoke about it in our call earlier, that it would be a better time to start it. So I would definitely approve of that. And I'm trying to think of anything else that I wanted to speak on that. I guess it was the ability to open that front gate to allow me to bring the required supplies into the location prior to 5. And I wanted to see if that was possible, but.
That's something the city manager or staff could.
If it's too much of a big deal, it's really not that
It's not.
big of a deal. I can very well carry the stuff up, without it.
You just need to, this is Joe Nicholson, the city manager.
Oh,
You
hi there,
just-
Joe.
Hi, how are you? You just need to loop back with the Recreation Department, Scott Wheeler or Eric Reese
Okay.
on the matter, as well as the additional hour that the council looks so inclined to add. But just loop back with them if you could, please.
Okay, and I'll get their email from you, Susan, if I can.
Sure. I just,
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor.
Okay, excellent.
I just wanted to add that
Do you want me to stay on, or do you want me to sign off?
Does anyone on the council have any questions for Mr. O'Connor?
I just wanted to add one thing. Patrick, did I describe the event adequately? I just thought it was a really uplifting piece of news for Halloween, when things are looking sort of depressing around the holiday.
I can add to that. Basically, it's kind of like a way to kind of give back to the community because of the fact that given the current circumstances with COVID and Halloween being the time of year that I think as a kid for me was always my favorite time of year. And it's a lot of kids' favorite time of year. And, we have such a great park, we have such a great environment here in Newport that really lends itself really well to events like this. And for me, this is more of kind of like a prototype trial basis to see if this is something that maybe we could do next year, but put a little more time into it and a little more people and see if it can be something that can be a tradition or something that we would like to look into further. And it basically what it is it's exactly what it says. It is a monster tour. And basically as you get taken via guide, you're kind of immersed into this world. The castle is already there. It's already lit. It's very beautiful. Adding very little to that experience really already makes the experience pretty fantastic. And the idea is that you have the tour guides are the ones taking the guests on a journey, a story, and a monster hunt. And the monster hunt basically is there's a social distance monsters, plenty of things that are scary from a distance. The monster will never come very close to the guests at all, but that monster will still be present. And so the idea is at the very end, that the tour guide actually, through kind of acting and magic, and so to speak, will magically cause the monster to disintegrate and fall apart. And that's just the costume character, falling to the ground and taking his helmet off, which is basically just a glow-in-the-dark head. So, or glow-in-the-dark, monster head. So the idea is being able to take kids and families and adults on a journey that's a sight and a sound and an experience that's a story, but it's very Halloween-y. So I probably overdid it on that one.
Yeah, I don't know that you want to give away
Thank you,
all the
Mr.
surprises.
O'Connor.
Yeah, I don't want to give away too much, but there's I spent a lot of
Mr.
time.
O'Connor, Counselor McCalla also had a question.
Yes.
Hi, hi, Patrick, Counselor McCalla and really, I just wanted to say thank you for doing this event over at my Antinomi. I'm certainly sure that there's going to be a ton of kids that are going to be super excited to really be a part of this. I know, I'll certainly share it on my Facebook. So
I actually forwarded Susan the poster that I designed for it.
Great.
And it actually has pretty much all the information, but obviously added information probably is helpful. But yeah, it's just kind of a graphic that I did to kind of get people excited about, what they might see. And we have all the people that are going to be in the tour actually dressed up in medieval attire, which I actually have made, stuff that I've already had. So it's kind of a medieval monster tour, so to speak. So.
Well, I'm really excited. And thank you. I mean, the story that you just spun was just so wonderful. I mean, I don't know. I probably might maybe disguise myself as a kid and try to take the tour.
It's open to everyone. Adults, anyone. The main reason for having the kids come at 5 is it's a little bit lighter out. So automatically it's less scary, and B, that allows that if anyone who is more interested in more of the thrill, the actual monster that is made, its costume, is not going to be in the tour between 5 and 6. So that's actually why I mentioned the monster, because I want there to be a separation between the younger crowd and the older crowd. So but yeah, no, it should be a fun experience for all ages, really.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. So yeah, not sure how this works, but do I just sign off now and good to go?
Yeah, we're good to go. Thank you, Mr. O'Connor.
Thank you so much.
So I will call the roll call vote on the proposed amendment first. That is to add the extra hour. So Counselor Segley?
Aye.
Counselor Leonard? You're muted, Counselor Leonard.
Aye.
Thank you. Counselor McCalla?
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano?
Aye.
Counselor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The amendment passes. And now I will hold the roll call vote for the application as amended. Counselor Segley?
Aye.
Counselor Leonard?
Aye.
Counselor McCalla?
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano?
Aye.
Counselor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
Communication from the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management.
Madam Chair, I move that we receive the communication from the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management relating to Perry Mill Wharf.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to receive this communication. I was speaking with Counselor Taylor about this item before the council meeting, and it's really, pulling this item is really for the purpose of letting residents calling attention for residents that there is a 14-day calendar comment period that is associated with this communication, and that actually ends this Friday. So the information relayed in here is on the city website as part of the docket, and also as part of the RIDEM website. So just wanted to call attention to that. Is there further discussion on the council? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Councillor Segley?
Aye.
Councillor Leonard?
Aye.
Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
2020 to 21 annual vittling license renewals.
So this is a public hearing, and before we begin the public hearing, I want to ask the council if there are any recusals by any members of the council that we have to take into account.
Yes.
Councillor Leonard?
I sent an email also to the city clerk. So I have recusals on one corporate business. Under liquor licenses, I have none. Under BH liquor license, I have none. After liquor license BL, none. After liquor license BV, I have At the Deck, Dockside North LLC, and Waits Wharf Grill LLC. And I'm recusing from those.
These are the victualling licenses.
Yeah, well, I went down the list of that because I'd already sent it all, so I don't do each one.
Well, she has to recuse for the VIT licenses and the liquor, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, but they're not hearings for the VIT
Right.
licenses, right?
They're not public hearings for the VIT licenses, but
Just for the liquor. Okay, thank you, City Solicitor. So we can have the, I make a motion that we approve the annual Vandalian licenses as attached in the list, with the exception of the items just noted by Councillor Leonard. And those would be At the Deck, Dockside North, and Waits Wharf.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to approve the Vandalian license renewals. Is there any discussion on the council? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Councillor Sedley? Councillor Leonard?
Aye.
Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The ayes have it. And so then we can do the renewals for the three that Councillor Leonard is recusing herself from. So this is, I make a motion to approve the Vandalian license renewal for At the Deck, Dockside North, and Waits Wharf.
Second.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussion on the council? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Councillor Segley?
Aye.
Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
Application for a new vittling license, Not Norms Newport LLC DBA, Not Norms Catering Company, 515 Thames Street.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, did we vote on the liquor establishments? Was there to be a public hearing on that?
The liquor,
That's what you're doing.
that's for the liquor licenses
Got it.
when we are the Board of License
Sorry.
Commissioners.
Yes, so I move that we approve the new application for a victualling license for Not Norms Newport.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the council? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Counselor Segley?
Aye.
Counselor Leonard?
Aye.
Counselor McCalla?
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano?
Aye.
Counselor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes.
Farmers Market application, Aquidneck Community Table.
Madam Chair, just a point of order. Either I fell asleep for a few minutes or we only took 2 votes under item 2. I don't know that we voted for the non-liquor extended hour activities, or if we did, I missed it.
I did the full vittling license list as a whole, minus the 3 items that Counselor Leonard had to recuse herself from.
I'm just saying there are 3 items under that, A, B, and C. Wouldn't we have voted on each one?
No, I voted for, I made the motion for number 2 as a whole entity, not separating it into A, B, and C.
Okay.
Application for a farmer's market.
Yeah, so I move the approval of the application for the Aquidneck Community Table to conduct a growers market at the Gateway Center every Saturday beginning November 7th and going through May 13th, 2021.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussion on the council?
Yeah, where's my hand?
Yeah, are you looking for raised hands?
It would be helpful. Counselor Taylor?
Thank you. I am really, really happy to see the Gateway Center become a center of activity again, especially over these winter months. And I think that it's a great activity to have there. And I hope that we all get to eat lots of fresh, locally produced food over the winter.
Thank you, Counselor Taylor. Counselor McLaughlin?
I just wanted to clarify, the Discover Newport no longer has any claim to that space, is that correct?
Justin, City Manager Joe Nicholson, I can answer that. I received a letter yesterday from Discover Newport. Well, first off, they're not using that downstairs space, and I've had a number of discussions with them about access to it and early access to it, if you will. I received a letter just yesterday, late yesterday, indicating what their intentions are, and their intentions are to vacate the facility, the entire facility, by December 31st. And they have no concern otherwise with the use of that first floor area. They still are operating their offices on the 2nd and 3rd floor, but apparently until December 31st. I'm going to put that formal notice on the docket at the next meeting.
So they're no longer, they aren't paying rent anymore, or are they paying rent?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They are.
Until December.
Yes.
Is there any further discussion on the council? I would also like to just chime in to what Counselor Taylor said, or reinforce it. You know, I think it's fantastic that we got a home for them and that the visitor center, the Gateway Center, is not sitting empty. So exciting to see. I will hold the roll call vote on this item. Counselor Segley?
Aye.
Counselor Leonard?
Aye.
Counselor McCallum?
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano,
Aye.
Counselor Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes.
Appointments to boards and commissions. The Waterfront Commission, there are 2 vacancies for a 3-year term expiring 10/28/2023. The applicants are Sean Driscoll, Alexander Donlin, John Grecian, Gregory James, Jason Kelly, Gary Lash, Joshua Parks, Zane Randall, and Michael Ryan.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move the appointment of John Grecian and Gary Lash to the Waterfront Commission for 3-year terms expiring
Second.
October 28th, 2023.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any? There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the council? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Counselor Sedgley?
Aye.
Counselor Leonard?
Aye.
Counselor McCalla?
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano?
Aye.
Counselor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes.
A resolution regarding Earth Day celebration 2021.
This is a
Madam-
resolution that was introduced by Counselor Taylor, and so I will give the floor to Counselor Taylor for its official introduction.
Thank you. I will not read the entire resolution because it is long. It goes into some detail about the benefits of Earth Day as marking an opportunity to remind us to be good stewards of our home, the planet Earth. I will read a couple of the whereas clauses. Whereas many wild animals, plants, and pollinators live in urbanized landscapes, cities thereby have a responsibility to examine the ecological impacts of expanding urban areas and to consider how to protect biodiversity. And whereas Aquidneck Island communities are impacted by coastal hazards that are being exacerbated by sea level rise and climate change. Whereas Earth Day was founded in 1970 and is now celebrated by over 190 countries around the world. Whereas Earth Day is an annual reminder of the constant need for environmental activism, sustainability efforts, and commitments to stewardship. And whereas it is essential to expand the local environmental movement through education, be it hereby resolved that the City Council declares the week of April 17th, 2021 to April 24th, 2021 as Aquidneck Island Earth Week, a celebration of the 51st anniversary of Earth Day, and supports an island-wide effort to share in the celebration of our interconnectedness with nature, environmental sustainability, and conservation of natural resources. And be it further resolved that the Council requests the administration to put forth an effort to engage the entire community of Newport and the neighboring communities of Middletown and Portsmouth to join the effort to create a memorable Aquidneck Island Earth Week. I move passage.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Thank you, Councilor Taylor and Councilor Napolitano. Is there any discussion on the council on this item? Councilor Taylor.
Thank you. I'm almost embarrassed, but not quite, to admit that I well remember the first Earth Day in 1970. I was part of a student group that planted a community garden in a vacant lot that by the next autumn had become a parking lot, paved and everything. So Joni Mitchell's song was prescient. And I just want to add that Sean O'Connor, I think, is on the call. He is Secretary of the Energy and Environment Commission, and they were spearheading the plans for the Earth Week celebration in 2020 to celebrate the 50th anniversary. And I was thinking it would be appropriate for him to say a little bit about what the plans are for 2021.
Thank you,
Hello,
Counselor Taylor. Mr. O'Connor, yeah, please go ahead.
thank you, Councilor Taylor and the council. For 2021, Newport, as well as our neighbors on the island of Middletown and Portsmouth, the plan and the hope is that each of the communities will be passing a resolution very similar to this. And we are in the planning stages for Aquatic Island Earth Week 2021. I think one of the outcomes of the 2020 event was learning how to pivot, learning how to conduct a rich Earth Week when we were in a time of social distancing. We don't know how it'll go next year. We don't know where we'll be at with that situation. So at least we've been able to learn a lot over the last 9 months about how to operate in these times. And there is a planning meeting for Aquatic Island Earth Week 2021 that is taking place on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving in the afternoon. So our commission is taking it upon ourselves to be involved. I just want to let the council and city staff know and the public that if anyone wants to be involved as a citizen, an organization, or the city itself, definitely want to keep everyone updated on planning meetings. So the next big one, which is really like the kickoff planning meeting after some of the communities pass these resolutions, is that Tuesday before Thanksgiving in the afternoon. And you can reach out to our commission or the Middletown Open Space Commission for those details of how to get connected in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. O'Connor. Is there any further discussion on the council on this resolution? All right, hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Councilor Stegley.
Aye.
Councilor Leonard.
Aye.
Councilor McCalla.
Aye.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Aye.
Councilor Napolitano.
Aye.
Councilor Taylor.
Aye.
Mayor Bova. Aye. The motion passes. I look forward to next year's Earth Day.
Resolution requesting Governor Raimondo to release COVID funds to cities and towns.
Thank you. This was a resolution introduced by Councilor Taylor with multiple of us co-signing. And I would like to once again hand the floor to Councilor Taylor to introduce.
Thank you. This is a resolution that I wanted to put forward. I'm delighted to see that there are 4 co-signers on this. We need to be stewards of our municipal funding, and the CARES Act was passed with the idea of providing relief to states and municipalities. And our state has not yet released the CARES funding to municipalities in Rhode Island. And so we are submitting, or we're offering this resolution, which would be very similar to resolutions that have been passed by other municipalities in Rhode Island. Thank you.
Do you move passage?
I move passage.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to approve. Is there discussion on the council? Councilor Napolitano.
Yes, this is something that the League of Cities and Towns have been working on for quite some time. I'm not sure who had listened today to the governor. However, when it came to the question of whether or not cities and towns in the state of Rhode Island would receive any kind of monies, she referred to the health crisis, the payment, the increases in payments to people because they're not working and everything else. They still have the schools to take care of. I mean, you know, city government, town government, they need the money just like every other community, every other need. And it's unfortunate that none of this money has been released. Certainly could help with maybe even the voting situation or or other things. So, you know, I'm happy to support this, but I think we ought to stay tuned because I don't even think we're going to get a state budget for next year until who knows when, maybe January.
Thank you, Councilor Napolitano. Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you. I wanted to engage the city manager briefly with respect to this. We talked a little bit about this last Wednesday evening during the COVID meeting, but there are different levels of expense that we're talking about here. But is it your understanding that we're going to be able to be reimbursed under the COVID situation for the expenses that we've incurred? I mean, could you just talk a little bit about what we're talking about here? Because I too did listen to the governor today, and I'm glad that we don't have the responsibility that she does to have to deal with all of the issues that the state is dealing with respect to COVID. But in our little world here, Joe, just how much money are we talking about, and is it your expectation that we're going to be reimbursed?
Well, right now, by the way, the resolution has two parts to it. It's just not COVID fund related. But my understanding is that the state right now, and as of yesterday, quite frankly, has requested, or within the last few days, is requesting municipalities across the state to marshal their costs so that they can get a better feel, separate from what's been going on with our FEMA submissions, so they can get a full feel or better feel of what type of predicament municipalities are in vis-a-vis necessary costs related to the pandemic. And I use the word necessary as a state of art because those are the costs that can be reimbursed, ones that are characterized as necessary under the Treasury regulations. So my expectations is that the state of Rhode Island will take a hard look at the numbers and make a determination based upon their own dilemma related to their costs incurred as of up to December 30th of this year, and make that determination as to reimbursement to the municipalities. I think it's a good sign that resolutions like this are proffered. All the municipalities are getting on board with that, and I think as a result, we're seeing some action by the state of Rhode Island through the Revenue Department to take a hard look at these and to see what fiscal problems the pandemic has visited upon municipalities directly related to necessary costs related to the pandemic. So I guess on one hand, I'm going to say, yes, I expect reimbursement. On the other hand, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, Justin. There is also paralleling this, the FEMA submissions that all municipalities have made, but FEMA is kicking out a lot of the material costs, PPE, sanitizer, cleaning costs related to the pandemic. And FEMA only reimburses 75 cents on the dollar. The COVID funds can be used to backfill the 25%, or indeed they can be used as 100% reimbursement. And I just also might add that we've been advised that the FEMA money will be very restricted, but also will be delayed many, many months, if not years, in terms of the reimbursement. And that somewhat makes sense because of the huge task that they have throughout the country in terms of costs that have been incurred. But so I'm hoping that something's going to come through on this. And the fact that we're starting to get there's a lot of discussion on this of late as to what's reimbursable, what's not reimbursable. And this is coming directly from the Department of Revenue, and they've at least created a new reporting manual for these that the state is going to use in reviewing these costs. So I think I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic, that we're going to get some reimbursement on this. And,
Joe,
we're at about 275, Justin.
Excuse me?
We're at about $275,000.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Do we have we talked about this last week, but I think it would benefit the council just on a regular basis to apprise us of how much revenue have we lost. I know there were people who stayed in the hotels, there were people who ate in restaurants, but we're not necessarily getting all that money. But so what is the fiscal impact that we're looking at as we move forward? We don't need that number tonight, but obviously you're going to be needing that number not too many weeks away. And I'm going to say, this is a nice gesture, but as I've already said, I'm glad we don't have the responsibility that the governor has, who still has a $321 million hole in last year's budget. Looking forward to probably having to lay off state employees next year. There are challenges that are going to face the state. And I think I heard a question today which had a sentiment in it that we all should, I think, keep in mind, which is we're all in this together. We all want as much money as we can get. We all want to get as much money as we got last year. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, the state may not have the money. And we should just be aware of that fact that it's not going to get better fiscally unless somebody knows something I don't know over the next year, because we haven't really totally faced up to the challenges that COVID's presented to us.
That's correct. And I'll just add that the revenue conference for next year's budget, not this year's budget, which hasn't been created yet, but for next year's budget is occurring right now. So we'll be getting some more information out in the coming weeks. And I just wanted to point out that, the COVID reimbursement funds are one thing. The other aspect of it, of course, is, and I agree with your sentiments on the difficulty that the state has and the governor has, but municipalities are facing the uncertainty of their reimbursements from their state aid reimbursements from the state. And as we discussed last week, normally we get that tranche of money on the pilot on July 31st. Well, we're only getting, which was about $1.5 million last year. We're only getting 1/12 of that money. And I pointed out the reasons last Wednesday. It's because of the state trying to figure out their own COVID cost dilemma, as well as the certainty and the stability of state government going forward. So we're going to find out a lot, I think, in January going forward as to where we stand. And this revenue conference that they're having now is important. I've actually, I'm not going to speculate, but one of the discussions that we had today with the League of Cities and Towns, there was one suggestion that it's not going to be as bad as we were anticipated going forward, but I think that you take a comment like that with a grain of salt. When I say not bad, hundreds of millions of dollars in the normal course of life here, and running a deficit like that is severe versus an $800 million deficit or a $700 million deficit. So we're going to be finding out a lot about not only the state's fiscal dilemmas, but our own, because they're there in January and February, I think.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Nicholson. And I'm glad that you said what you said about while it's important to recognize the governor has a tough challenge, she's not alone. We have, it's tough for all the municipalities, and the fact that Rhode Island is only one of 3 states to have given out zero CARES money to the municipalities does speak to the fact that it is a big need for all of the cities and towns here. Councilor Leonard?
The last figures that I read were that the state is basically facing a $900 million deficit. And one of the things that the city manager just said was that Newport seems to get or seems to have received only 1/12 or 1 month of the pilot funds. Is that what you were saying, Joe?
Well, no, we've been receiving it since the 1/12 since July. So we've received $400,000 versus the normal. We usually get that tranche of money all at once on July 31st. So we're getting 1/12 of the respective state aid going back to
So wait a
July.
minute, let's simplify it. So what we normally get, what, quarterly, we're getting on a monthly
No,
basis?
we
Is
got
that what
one,
you're
we got
telling
one
me?
lump on the pilot money. We get one
Right.
lump sum on July 31st of 1 million. Last year was $1,509,000. To date, we've only received $402,000 because the state is paying out to municipalities 1/12, approximately 1/12. So that's the
Okay,
numbers
so
balance.
when we look at that, I think it's obvious that the problems relating to COVID have somewhat already filtered down from the state. I think we're going to be able to anticipate a much bigger issue. The fact that the CARES money has not been dispersed. I think that we have to be very careful how we monitor all this so we can anticipate what our revenues are versus our expenditures are going to be. And this is a big, big issue, and the state's in bad trouble, and it's going to filter down, and some communities are much worse than we are in terms of ready funds available to provide services. So I think we really need to be careful. And this meeting that you're talking about, hopefully you report back to us with some solid information of what you get there, or at least up to date.
Well, I'm not too sure what meeting I referred to. We have a weekly meeting, a weekly telephone conference. It used to be every day with the Rhode League of Cities and Towns in the governor's office. And this is one of the more popular topics. And the revenue conference that I referred to it's the state revenue conference that occurs every year, in which they're looking at next year's budget. You got to remember, there is no state budget right now.
Yeah, I
As
know.
we have a state budget, there is no state budget for a lot of reasons, a lot of good reasons, quite frankly. But we anticipate one, sometime in December or January. And then there's a lot of other issues that go along with that. That'll take care of this year. But the revenue conference, the FY21, the revenue conference that's going on now is for the following year's budget. And that'll be telling, because that not only, you can work things in a year, within a year's window, and we all can do that. I suppose the state can do it, but that'll give us an idea as to recovery and where things are going for the next year or so.
What about the automobile tax? Have we heard anything else?
No, nothing. That's all part of the governor's budget.
Yeah, they haven't. Is there any further discussion on the council on this resolution? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Councillor Sagali,
Aye.
Councillor Leonard,
Aye.
Councillor McCalla,
Aye.
thank you. Councillor McLaughlin,
Aye.
Councillor Napolitano,
Aye.
Councillor Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes.
Action number 5946.
Madam Chair, I move that we award the supplemental contract agreement to the Beta Group, Inc. of Lincoln, Rhode Island, for the purpose of providing engineering services to design a new sidewalk along Hillside Avenue between Bedloe and Admiral Kalfas, and to look at traffic calming measures for Hillside, Ruggles, and Harrison Avenues.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. This item is in the not to exceed amount of $64,970. and it is just for the engineering services. It is not for the actual construction. And I am going to ask if there's discussion on the council, but I also want to ask the city manager, you know, if this is approved and the plans are developed, and what is the process to actually getting the sidewalk installed, and that whole, what does that look like?
Well, I'm looking for, I mean, once you have design and engineering, you know, you proceed with the work depending on weather dependent, but I'm looking for Mr. Riccio's phone number in this,
Oh,
He's here.
ranking.
Yeah.
Is he here?
Yep.
Okay, so Bill, can you jump
Yes.
in here?
Yes.
Yeah,
hello.
Mr. Riccio, I'm looking to understand the time frame.
Okay, so the Safe Routes to School dollars became live as of federal fiscal year 21, which just started October 1st. So this contract will allow us to design and put together construction documents for bidding, with our hopes of going out to construction in the spring.
Okay. That was really the time frame I was looking for. Thank you, Mr. Riccio. Councilor McCalla.
Yep, I would just like to highlight that I just want to say thank you to the city for beginning the initiative on this. But I'd also like to preface by saying I will continue to keep advocating. My original resolution called for different streets. And while I understand, I am appreciative of the beginnings of this, and I'm excited for this. I also look forward to continuing the conversations for the other previous streets that I had addressed as well.
Thank you, Councilor McCalla. Councilor Segley.
Yes, I just have a question for Bill. Would the actual building of the sidewalks be covered under the TIP or the Transportation Improvement Program, or is that on the city's side?
No, yes, that's all under the, that was, we got that on the TIP a number of years ago. So we've been pushing hard for this. So, yeah, so, and there looks to be plenty of money there to do what we need to do. And I'm hoping to be able to apply some of the ideas that come out of the traffic calming component of this contract along the hillside area, because it's hillside that we have on the Safe Routes to School that's in that zone.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay. All right.
We'll stretch it as far as we can.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Segley. Councilor Taylor.
Thank you. I'm excited to see the city focusing on this. I know people on that section of hillside between Bedlow and Admiral Calpas have been yearning for a sidewalk since I was first ward councilor. And it's great to see that coming to fruition. And thank you, Mr. Riccio, for all of your pushing on this. I also think that, you know, with this going on, looking at traffic calming measures on our busy streets, this is going to be coinciding with the transportation master plan, which has gone out to bid and apparently is in process. So we are hopeful that we can settle on a provider for that in the near future. And I hope that the city is going to be talking about traffic calming measures and how we make our streets more comfortable for pedestrians and safer for pedestrians and bicycles.
Thank you, Councilor Taylor. And I actually wanted to ask a clarifying question, Mr. Riccio, just based off some of the discussion among the council. You mentioned, you know, applying the traffic calming measures developed for Hillside. Are those being developed for the entire length of Hillside?
So yes, so here's the issue. As I see it anyways, the state tip item was for Bedloe between the specified limits of Admiral Calfus, of Hillside, between Admiral Calfus and Bedloe. So it's going to be, I've
For the
anticipated
sidewalk.
on the sidewalk, yes. But because it's safe routes to school, I'm hoping if when we come up with options for, granted, the original resolution from Councilor McCalla talked about short-term solutions. So we're trying to balance short-term with also coming up with options that could be long-term as well.
Well, so what I'm really just trying to ask is, when you read the description, it talks about develop traffic calming measures for Hillside, Ruggles, and Harrison. And so I'm asking specifically in that section of the contract where it's the developing traffic calming measures, is it for the entire length of Hillside?
Oh, yes. Although the actual construction funding, that safe routes to school might not be able to extend all the way up to Maple. So, but we're working with the state on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there further discussion on the council on this item? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Councilor Segley?
Aye.
Councilor Leonard?
Aye.
Councilor McCalla?
Aye.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councilor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councilor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Boba? Aye. The motion passes.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn as council and convene as the Board of License Commissioners.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the council? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Councilor Segley?
Aye.
Councilor Leonard?
Aye.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councilor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councilor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. Councilor McCalla had to end the meet or leave the meeting.
Thank you.
A public hearing on the 2020-2021 liquor license renewals.
So this is a public hearing, and so that's what I was going to say before we do the public hearing. I know that Councilor Leonard has the 3 recusals, and I want to see if there are any recusals from anyone else on the council. Okay, so first we have the public hearing on the liquor license renewals, and I'm going to do the entire bulk of so it's all of the classes that are being renewed. And so this is for the entire list, minus At the Deck, Dockside North, and Waits Wharf, because those 3 Councilor Leonard will need to recuse herself from. So is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard on the liquor license renewals? And as a reminder, if you would like to be heard on any of these items, you can either press the raise hand button on Zoom, or you can press *9 if you are on the phone. Okay, seeing no one from the public, I motion that we close the public hearing and approve.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to close the public hearing and approve the liquor license renewals for the full list, minus At the Deck, Dockside North, and Waits Wharf. Is there any discussion on the council? Councilor McLaughlin?
I'd ask the solicitor to weigh in. He's advised us with respect to, I guess, the pier. And also we have a few liquor licenses that are still could be characterized as floating. And so what would be his recommendation as to how we handle those? I think you were almost advising us, Chris, that we should continue the pier one, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. So if you could restate your advice to us tonight.
Yeah, Chris Bean, city solicitor. I've had discussions with both the applicant's attorney and also the attorney for Friends of the Waterfront on the reef, which is Councilor McLaughlin had referred to as the pier. So that one, we're satisfied that the Friends of the Waterfront, Mr. Rubin, is okay, does not have an objection to the renewal of the license now. We're still working on the right of way. We're discussing it. We've been discussing it this week. We're going to discuss after, meet after. So there's nothing in the renewal that will adversely affect the right of way. So I'm satisfied we can move forward on that tonight. The floating licenses, I think at this stage, with the issues with COVID, the pandemic, the limitations that impose, I'm also recommending that the floating licenses be renewed. Again, all of these issues we can always visit again if there's any change in circumstances. We can do it during the year of the renewal, or we can do it at the next renewal period.
Thank you, Mr. Bean.
I'm sorry.
Councilor McLaughlin, did you?
Yeah, I wanted to follow up and say,
Go ahead.
I mean, I was actually thinking the only ones that might still be floating would be Unity and the old Rum Line. Could you just recapitulate for us which ones those are?
Yeah, I think there might be, I believe there might be 3. There is Unity, the old Rum Line, and I believe there is a 3rd that was the old Barking Crab. And I think
No, I think it's Hope.
Hope, I'm sorry, Hope.
Not Bark.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the clerk can correct me. I believe there might be 3, possibly 4, but I think they have been in touch with the city. We have an idea of where they're at in terms of their licensing. And what they're trying to do in order to put that license back into either being transferred or to being used.
Could we send them kind of those floating license holders kind of a reminder that it's something that we're tracking and ask them to give us an updated status?
Absolutely. If you wanted to go directly to the council, absolutely, we can do that.
Yeah, I would like to do that. I think that like both you and Councilor McLaughlin said, it is something that we want to keep an eye on. But at the same time, I think I would be okay with approving the renewal, but I do want to get a status on them.
If I could just jump in, Madam Chair.
Councilor McLaughlin, go ahead.
It's almost as if you could renew them and then they wouldn't be under any real obligation to report back to you for a year because you've renewed the license. And
yeah,
I won't be here in 3 months to follow up on it, but you might consider asking them to give you, periodic reports, whether it's in 6 months or once every 3 months or something. You can do that formally or informally, but I think you should go on the record tonight that you want that done. Otherwise, you could pass a whole year and without anything being done on it.
Well, I mean, I think
that's a good note.
Okay, but I think we always have the ability to bring a license holder back in. So I have no problem with you doing that. I just want you to be aware of that. If we felt at any time any of these license holders were not being reasonable or were not in good faith attempting to put these licenses in operation, we of course would take that action, which would be a recommendation for you to take action. But I have no problem if you want to, at this point, make it a condition of the renewal.
Madam Chair, I'm not suggesting that, but I think this discussion is basically putting it in the record, the council's concern, and we can always
Yes.
refer back to this.
I think it is.
Thank you.
I think it is, yeah. And I would like to see a status. Madam Clerk?
Yes, I just wanted to let you know that I believe it was September, all of the floating licenses did send the council a status update. So just so that I can be clear when I reach out to them, that's what you're looking for. There is going to be one additional floating license as well. So it was basically a letter that they all submitted just stating what their plan was to do.
Yeah, and I just think, just kind of as a reminder, as we go through the renewal, like, hey, just FYI, we're renewing your license, but we are still keeping an eye on the fact that you're floating, and we would like you to give us an update and maintain that line of communication, which they have been. It's more of a reminder. Councilor Napolitano.
Yeah, I agree with Councilor McLaughlin. I believe that we should have some sort of, even if they were in contact, say with the solicitor, some sort of report, perhaps on a quarterly basis, an update, so that it just doesn't go by for 6 months or a year and we don't even think about it. I do think we should have some sort of report coming back to us on a quarterly basis on any of the floating licenses. I'd like to make that in the form
I
of
think that is there a second? I'll second it. I'll second that motion. I think it's a good motion. And would you mind restating it just to make sure the clerk has it on the record, Councilor Napolitano?
Yes, that the city solicitor should provide the council with a quarterly report on all floating licenses as to their progress or disposition.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on that motion by Councilor Napolitano? Hearing none, I'll hold the roll call vote on her motion. Councilor Segley?
Aye.
Councilor Leonard?
Aye.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councilor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councilor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes. Is there further discussion on the overall renewal of the liquor licenses? Hearing none, I'm going to hold the roll call vote. And again, this is the full list minus the 3 that Councilor Leonard has to recuse. Councilor Segley?
Aye.
Councilor Leonard?
Aye.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Aye.
Councilor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councilor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes. So I now will make a motion on the approval of the renewal of the liquor license for At the Deck, Dockside North, and Waits Wharf. And that is with Councilor Leonard recusing herself from that vote. And that is, well, first we have the public hearing. So there's the public hearing on those 3 renewals. Is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard? Hearing none, I move that we close the public hearing and approve the renewal of those 3 establishments.
Second?
There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the council? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. I will start with Councilor McLaughlin while I give Councilor Segley a second. Councilor McLaughlin,
Aye.
Councilor Napolitano,
Aye.
Councilor Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. Councilor Segley?
Aye, sorry.
Thank you. It's okay. The motion passes.
Okay. Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn as the Board of Licensed Commissioners and reconvene as council.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the council? Hearing none, I will hold the roll call vote. Councilor Segley,
Aye.
Councilor Leonard,
Aye.
Councilor McLaughlin,
Aye.
Councilor Napolitano,
Aye.
Councilor Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes.
COVID-19 status update.
I will give the floor to Mr. Nicholson, the city manager, to give us the update.
Yes, thank you very much. It's Joe Nicholson, City Manager. So I wish I was the bearer of good news, but we had, according to the RIDA website, 17 additional cases last week for a total of 222, up from 205. Incidentally, if you're tracking the numbers, we had 13 the week before and 8 the week before that. And we're no different than the rest of the state, in which we're seeing an increase in the number of COVID positive cases. Overall, the state reported today 425, I believe it was 425 new cases, 136 hospitalizations. The governor, if you listen to her press conference today, was very concerned about the direction that the state is going. I will note, if there's a silver lining, we're still holding at 2%, at 2% of the positives of the overall number of cases that have been tested here in Newport. So that's a good sign, but 17 is not good at all. And it is, in fact, I went back and looked at the running history on the RIDA website, and I believe it's the highest number of cases we've had to date during a week period thus far. I will point out the anomaly of the 02840, our zip code, which is carrying 186 cases, and the 02841, 12 cases. I don't know where the delta is. There's always been an inconsistency, but needless to say, we're in a rough spot right now. The governor at her press conference, as well as Dr. Alexander Scott, was attributing the uptick in the increase in the state based upon their contact tracing to small groups, people letting their guard down, and the governor is urging everyone to wear a mask, not outside, but also inside when you're not with people that you're around all the time, not with people who are your immediate family. So if you invite guests over for cocktails or for a small dinner party, she's urging that you wear your mask. Dr. Scott kind of zeroed in on a few things today. She highlighted fraternal clubs, barbershops, and nightclubs as being problematic, and indicated that it's a disturbing trend. So again, it's the indoor informal settings, which the state is indicating is creating problems here. The schools have been doing fine, albeit you're all aware that Rogers High School had a positive case today, and I've had a short discussion with the superintendent about that, and they're doing everything they can to decipher that one positive case with Rhode Island Department of Health. And again, the governor seemed very, very concerned, and indeed there is another press conference this Friday in which the governor has indicated that she's going to institute some new or old restrictions, if you will, but she didn't let on where she was going with those restrictions. So Halloween is coming up, so people have to be on their guard, and it's not the Halloween that we like to think about, and that's the small kids that we're being concentrated on, but it's the getting together, having Halloween parties, getting together and having large, significant gatherings that are outside your intimate family. And that's what's causing the problem here. So that's my report on the numbers. 17, not happy. And I wish I had a magic wand and could figure out where they're all coming from, but I think the governor's given us some idea. I'm more than happy to answer any questions or discuss those recent findings.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you. It was really interesting today, and unfolding it back into last week, one of the things that we were told is that when they did the contact tracing, they're finding out that, people who are coming down with this are seeing too many people. I suspect on Friday, the governor is going to push back the number of people that can be in a group because that's what's causing it. But the thing I wanted to mention, because I don't think that everybody here got a chance to listen to this today, is it's related to COVID because of its behavior of people. There were more drug desks in July than there have been at any time in Rhode Island. The people who are dying of drug overdoses has ballooned in the last year. And apparently it started before the COVID. So you can't just blame it on people being depressed and bothered by COVID, but it's just gotten worse. And, it's one of those things that was under the radar horizon. I hadn't seen anybody mention any of this until they brought it up today at the press conference. And it's happening, in a dramatic way that I found that very interesting.
Yes, it was interesting.
Thank you, Councilor McLaughlin. Councilor Taylor.
This isn't quite about the numbers, but it's all related. I was wondering how the Take It Outside applications are going and whether we're anticipating adjustments. I'm not privy to the League of Cities and Towns phone calls, and I wonder if someone who was on the call or the calls can help us understand what might be coming for our restaurants and the hospitality industry that needs
Well, I can tell.
Take It Outside money.
Well, the Take It Outside money, again, we received $75,000. We have, I want to say, roughly 30 inquiries about equipment and the like. What we've turned the program into is a reimbursement program, and we just went through it today. It took a while. One of the issues was you needed to get your grant agreement from the state before you could proceed, and you had to give them your banking information, and we've done that. It took a little while, but it's going to be a reimbursement program. We're reaching out to all these places that contacted us. We were able to supply last weekend a number of heat lamps, quite frankly, to a number of businesses. But going forward, we're going to provide some financial relief to those that either need equipment or have already acquired equipment relative to being able to take it outside. So that's where we are with the program. So stay tuned, but we're going to be firing things out pretty quickly in the next couple of days. It's mostly going to be a reimbursement program. I had a couple of places reach out to me just today asking for an update, and I gave them the lowdown that we'll probably be looking for receipts from equipment that you've already purchased, and we'll be happy to reimburse to the extent we're able to, considering the amount of money that we have, and we want to be fair to every place that applied.
Okay. Thank you. Just my follow-up question. Can I ask my follow-up, which was, is there any scuttlebutt from the League of Cities and Towns or anything that there may be the capacity of restaurants may be impacted?
No, nothing.
Okay.
On the call today, not only the league call, but the call from the governor's office, that there wasn't any indication of how the governor is going to, and her staff are going to react on Friday when they discuss these restrictions. I don't think, and considering how they're characterizing the issue, I don't think it's going to be having to do with businesses per se. Though Dr. Scott, as I indicated, did single out fraternal clubs, barbershops, and nightclubs. She singled in her indicating where kind of disturbing trend with regard to those places. But considering and on all three calls today, the league's call, the governor's press conference, and the after call with the governor's office, it's these small, intimate gatherings that are causing the issue. And so I suspect it will be something akin to lowering the social gathering groups from 15 to something lower, maybe going back to 10 or lower than that. But I don't necessarily, restaurants didn't really come up in any great spectrum today. So and let's face it, that's a real step backwards if that happens, and a step backwards. But I don't think that's
Joe,
what they're. Yes.
kind of on the same track. Did we get any feedback from the businesses in the lower Broadway area on how they felt Sunday went?
No, I was hoping some of you would tell me that. Other than what I read in the somewhere, and I had a short discussion with the clerk, Laura Swistak. I haven't heard anything.
Okay, I only heard from a couple. I didn't hear from too many.
Sorry, my hand is still
Well, I
raised.
just want
I'm putting my hand up. I was there. I was there ostensibly as part of the Zorro Brigade to be passing out masks, but I didn't pass out a single mask. And Amanda had also organized masks and hand sanitizer, but everybody was masked. And I mean, it was a gray, sort of depressing day, like the last several have been. And it was, nonetheless, there was a really lively, upbeat vibe. And Amanda was saying that she at least had done better with the business. I was there, I think, at the time that she was taking down her outdoor stall. It wasn't overwhelmingly crowded. I haven't spoken with her to get the final analysis.
Thank you, Councilor Taylor. Councilor Sayoui, did you want to add something? I thought that you had your hand up.
I had a question. Was I imagining that we were going in this take it outside thing together with Middletown, or am I imagining that? Was that something?
No, you're not imagining it.
Okay.
We went in with them, and just in terms of kind of the approach to the program. We have always said that during the pandemic, and it's true, that we have been working, I've been working with, and our staff have been working together with Middletown and to a certain extent Portsmouth, and trying to pull together in the same direction and not contradict one another. But the tranches of money are separate. Middletown got their tranche, we got our tranche of money, and we do have a telephone conference every Wednesday. I mean, Wednesdays are full of video conferences, at least for my office, every Wednesday, just to talk about these issues and how we're rolling out the money. And indeed, at least one of the cross sections here has been the Chamber of Commerce that was able to tap a supply of heat lamps last weekend that we were able to get out to the businesses that were interested in them very quickly.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Thank you. Two things. Am I muted? No, I'm not muted. Two things, Joe. Do we expect a request to do this again? This closing off of Broadway again? Success would suggest we'd want to do it again, but do we have any sense that they might want to do it again this year, or do it on a regular basis? And secondly, anything being done with respect to Restaurant Week and eating outdoors and stuff like that? Do you have any insight?
Well, on your first question, again, I haven't spoken with the organizer. I think the initial idea was to dip the toe in the ocean here and to see how things worked out. And I think Laura and I, one of us will probably reach out to Amanda tomorrow just to get what the thought process is. It's Lower Broadway fits neatly for this type of activity to occur. Albeit there's very few retail merchants. At least the pictures I saw, the restaurants looked like they had a pretty good thing going. So I think, but they didn't need to branch out into the middle of the street. They kept their same footprint, at least what I saw. So, we can talk about it. The original concept was just to figure out whether this was a good thing, and we can be nimble and figure this out tomorrow and Friday, because I think it's a pretty good, if it's going to help out a few businesses, that's great. And your second question, Justin, was
Restaurant week.
please, November 6th. All I know is that Discover Newport has gotten those special blankets, and I haven't rendezvoused with Evan Smith on the disbursements of those, but we're not really directly involved in Restaurant Week. I haven't heard too much about it at all.
Just didn't know if we'd gotten any requests from restaurants for stuff to help them.
Heat lamp. We gave out, I think we might have given out, I don't know, 10 to 15 heat lamps last weekend. So I think they're gearing up, and indeed I had the inquiry from one business on Broadway, Upper Broadway today, is they're, trying to make their plans for the winter generally. So I haven't had anyone reach out to me as to how we can assist them during Restaurant Week. But of course, if they do, we'll do everything we can for them.
This would be a great opportunity to show that various things work. So I hope they have a good Restaurant Week.
Yes. It's important. Yep.
Did you have anything else, Mr. Nicholson?
Yes, I wanted to I know a couple of you asked, we are going to publish some, the Reopening Rhode Island Tips for a Safer Halloween guidelines. We were unsure of today. I think everyone was shying away from putting something out today because we weren't sure what was going to happen. And I think this goes to some of the media outlets that may be listening in. They're a little bit gun shy about how things were going to develop today with the governor and with the increased numbers. But I'll just mention to you what the tips are real quickly. I don't expect any of you to be going trick-or-treating. You could pass this along, but I wanted to get this out, and you should celebrate only with the people you live with. Stay home and do not hand out candy if you have the COVID symptoms. There's a recommendation to trick-or-treat before dark. Use hand sanitizer. If you're picking up pumpkins or candy apples or apples generally, honor the 3 W's: wear a mask, wash your hands, watch your distance. And the trick-or-treating tips are: leave individually wrapped goodie bags lined up at least 6 feet from your door for kids to grab and go. Do not hand out candy from a bowl, and go trick-or-treating with your children to make sure they do it safely. Those are the tips, because I know people have been asking about the guidelines. That's what we have from the state of Rhode Island, the reopening guidelines. And I should say that a Halloween costume mask does not substitute for a cloth mask. So just be careful and wear those cloth masks.
I feel like this was like little kids are going to get a bunch of king-size candy bars this year, because anyone who's giving out candy, you got to have your kids are going to rake it in. The dentist will make money.
Yeah, I hope it's okay. And do not anyone have indoor gatherings by any stretch of the imagination with the little kids and the adults, or with teenagers or adults who do the Halloween thing. That's just inappropriate, and it's going to cause problems for all of us.
Yes, absolutely.
Happy Halloween.
Okay. Is there anything else, Mr. Nelson?
If not, Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn as council.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Before we adjourn, I do just want to give a reminder to the council and to the public that the meeting in November is on the only meeting in November is on a Tuesday. November 10th, because the typical Wednesday that we would meet is Veterans Day. So I think it'll be a little off, but just a reminder because it's not what any of us are used to. All right, and with that, I will hold the roll call vote to adjourn. Counselor Sedgley,
Aye.
Counselor Leonard,
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin,
Aye.
Counselor Napolitano,
Aye.
Counselor Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes. The meeting is adjourned.
Jamie,
Thank
can
you.
I just say, we're gonna miss Justin McLaughlin?
I'll be here next month.
Yeah, he'll be here next time.
You will? All right.
Are you gonna have the fireworks on the whole time, the next council meeting? Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good
Justin.
night, everybody. Good. Thanks, Justin.
Night.